Nigeria's Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy says the country's bold reforms are beginning to pay off. At the 11th Annual Conference of the West Africa Association of Public Accounts Committees, hosted by Nigeria's House of Representatives, Mr. Wale Edun declared that Nigeria is turning the corner. He pointed to rising revenues, reduced reliance on fuel imports, and renewed investor confidence as signs that reforms under President Bola Tinubu are working. Edun revealed that Nigeria's debt service to revenue ratio dropped to about 60% in 2024, while revenues grew by nearly 35% in the first half of 2025. He credited tough reforms like subsidy removal, exchange rate liberalization, and tax reforms for the turnaround.
Behind the President's actions, it is to build a strong, resilient, and inclusive economy. Inclusive in the sense that it provides good quality jobs for men, for women, for young people in particular, and where the private sector drives growth. The private sector is 90% of the Nigerian economy, and it's the same generally across all the countries present here today.
But lawmakers say the debt challenge remains grave. Speaker of the House of Representatives warned that Nigeria's total debt now stands at 149 trillion naira, with the debt to GDP ratio breaching the legal ceiling of 40%.
This highlights the urgent need for a stronger oversight, transparent borrowing practices, and a collective resolve to ensure that tangible economic and social returns match every naira borrowed. Across Africa, debt levels have reached alarming proportions. By 2022, the continent's total public debt had reached $1.8 trillion, with external debts alone surpassing $1 trillion by 2023. Several countries are now in dangerous debt to GDP territory.
Senate President Godswill Akpabio, represented at the event, stressed the need for stronger parliamentary oversight across West Africa, warning that reckless borrowing could mortgage the future of citizens and undermine democracy.
It becomes a burden that mortgages the future of our citizens. This is why parliamentary oversight is indispensable. I will recall the last conference that was held in Benin. You also examined this pressing issue of debt management, and today you are further re-examining this subject matter, public debt, which has even become more expedient for greater parliamentary oversight.
House Public Accounts Committee Chairman Bamidele Salam disclosed that his committee recovered over 200 billion naira in lost revenues in the last year. He also highlighted reforms, including the long-awaited audit bill, now before the Senate. The conference, which Nigeria is hosting for the first time since the West Africa Association of Public Accounts Committee creation in 2009, brought together parliamentarians from across the sub-region. Delegates agreed that debt can drive growth if managed transparently, but becomes a burden when shrouded in opacity.
Parliamentary oversight, particularly through the work of the Public Account and Finance Committees, is therefore indispensable to ensuring that debt accumulation does not become a pathway to fiscal crisis or intergenerational problem. It is therefore fitting that WAPAC has chosen this critical theme for deliberation at the 11th conference holding here in Abuja.
For Nigeria, the message is clear. Reforms are showing progress, but sustained fiscal discipline and strong parliamentary oversight will determine whether the country's debt becomes a tool for growth or a trap for future generations. Oluwatobi Eniton, reporting for TV Platinum.